What's up, everybody? Hello, happy Monday. Good afternoon. It is 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here at the Dice Tower Midwest Annex, and happy to be here, hoping that you're not all sick of me at this point. I know that's been a little heavy on DiLisio lately, and for that I apologize. But look, have no fear, have no fear. Next week at this time, tentatively, I say almost everything tentatively because things can change, but it's looking like next Monday you may be getting a live Q&A with one Mr. Z Garcia. So you only have to deal with me a little bit. So hopefully that all works out. And so it's lovely to see you and hear you. And really, I'm reading you. I mean, let's be honest. I'm reading you. I'm not seeing you. I'm not hearing you. I'm reading you. But that's all right. Look, I still feel like it's a valid form of communication. I don't feel any less close and connected to each and every one of you on a personal basis. Good morning to all, and hello. All right. I figured that I would start off since, it's been a little bit out of the ordinary the last couple of weeks, and it will continue to be out of the ordinary here for the next little bit. I figured that I would give you as much of an update as I have on what you might be able to expect here at the Dice Tower this upcoming week. And again, please note that everything that I mention here is subject to change because, we're most of the Dice Tower staff is still actively moving, in the process of moving, actively setting up the new studio and studios and trying to get those as close to possible to being ready to produce content from. And so it's not going to be a traditional week here for a little bit. But that being said, let me give you a little bit of an idea on what you can look forward to this coming week. All right, well, today we've got this live Q&A, which has just got started a little earlier, about an hour ago. Brian put up a top 10, his top 10 weeknight games. So you can go back and check that out at your leisure if you have not already. Tomorrow, we've got a Push Your Luck, top 10 Push Your Luck list. I meant to say I've got a list from Eric Summerer, top 10 Push Your Luck games from Eric Summerer. So be on the lookout for that. And then I've got a review going up at 2 p.m. for Peacemaker, Horrors of War. When Peacemakers is the kind of the redux, the re-implemented version of Dawn of Peacemakers. So that is Tuesday. Wednesday at noon, we've got another top 10 list, this time coming from Sam. This is top 10 stupid but fun games. Stupid but fun. So you can check on that. And then we have scheduled at 2 p.m. Wednesday a live crowd surfing. Okay, but again, please understand that's as of right now, that is the plan. We'll see how things go as the new studios see if they're going to be worthy, live stream worthy yet or not. Also Thursday, we have scheduled at 10 a.m. a board game news. That would be live, as would the crowd surfing, but I need to repeat myself. That's if we can get a live stream studio up and going by the middle of this week. We've also got a couple of reviews going up Thursday after the board game news. We've got Harvest. Chris is going to be reviewing Harvest, this little, very, very cute and remarkably mean game. And I'm going to be reviewing Tonga Bonga, which is a re-implementation of an older game that now Plate Games is doing. On Friday, noon, we've got a review from Jeff Knapp that is for Nebula. And 2 p.m., we've got a top 10 from Wendy, that is top 10 weeknight game, or excuse me, worker placement game, sorry. That's Friday, top 10 worker placement games. All right. On Saturday, Chris has a review of a board game arena game, Dragonheart, which, if it's the Dragonheart I'm thinking of, is an old school Cosmos card game. And this might be for the BGA implementation of that. So that's going to be Saturday at 10 a.m. And then I'm going to be reviewing Sardinia, the plate games. As a matter of fact, here's the rule book for it because I'm getting ready to film the overview for that review here in just a few. Sunday, we've got the top 10 weeknight games from Wendy. And I'm going to be reviewing on Sunday Cyclades, the legendary edition. Yes, the new edition of Cyclades that includes a number of different changes. And then Monday, scheduled 10 a.m., Q&A with Z, and I've got another review going up Monday for Figment, which is the game we played live here last week. If you did not get a chance to play that, maybe check out that video because we had a lot of fun playing Figment live. All right, again, tentative, subject to change, but that should give you an idea of some of the things that we've got going on over this next week and into early next week. And now, hopefully that gave you time to get some questions in here and I can go back and see if we can answer some questions. Katie G says, "Hi Mike, looking forward to your coverage of Core of Discovery. I'm looking forward to it as well. I have not received my copy of it yet, but very eagerly awaiting that. And obviously I played a early edition of it and did some live, was it live? I think I did a live stream and maybe some pre-recorded stuff. I don't know, but there is some content on this channel regarding Core of Discovery with the pre-production copy of that. Have you heard how things are going at the new location, new carpet and all? Only just bits and pieces here and there. I don't know a whole lot more than you do. I did see, I think I'm going to defer to Mike Heller here, who has been there at the new studio and involved. So let's see what Mike has to say here. After the carpet got done on Friday, we moved the desks and tables into the new studios. Lights got powered up, cameras got tested. Now, this is news to me as well. I'm learning this along with all of you. So good information from Mike Heller there. And also it looks like he has some more for us. The foam and backboards are going up starting either today or tomorrow. And we're referring to sound baffling, batting? The stuff that kind of deadens the sound a little bit, the bouncing of the sound, so that you don't sound as much as you're in a big, echoey, empty chamber. Will or have you played Frostpunk? It was crowdfunding pick of the week a few years ago. It was mine. I didn't remember that, Alpha-Gator. Interesting. Probably because I love the theme, but I never did end up playing Frostpunk. That's been a Z and Camilla thing. I think Joey's played it too. But I never did get a chance to play it. It sounds interesting. I love the theme again and the look of it. I wouldn't mind if they taught me. It's not something I really want to try to learn on my own. It looks a little bit heavy there. It was nice meeting you at Dice Tower West. You are a kind and generous man. Wow. Are you sure you don't have me mistaken for somebody else? It doesn't sound like me. Kind and generous. Well, never been accused of that before. Thank you so much for the kind words. I appreciate it. And I'm glad you caught me at a good time. All right. How did going to Tokyo Game Market come about? Well, it came about through a series of discussions that were had. It's kind of been something that's evolved over time. Originally, well, I don't know how much of it I really should necessarily get into because I don't know. But the bottom line is this, is that, yes, I'm very excited that I'm going to be going to Tokyo Game Market in mid-May. And I'm going to be shooting some footage there and working with ArcLight, the Japanese publisher ArcLight, who also kind of manages the Tokyo Game Market, the game festival. It will be just me going from the crew this time. Who knows if in future years other people can go as well. I feel very, very fortunate, very grateful to be able to go. It's kind of a huge, huge dream of mine to be able to go to Tokyo Game Market. I've never been to Japan. I've never been to Asia. Yes, that is correct. I've never been to Asia before. So, yeah, this is going to be incredible. Um, I'm planning on doing a video before I leave where I'm going to be just kind of doing a live stream where I go through games at the Tokyo Game Market that are going to be released that I'm excited about, that I'm hoping to pick up there, games that I've already actually put reservations on. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. I really am. And yeah, there'll be footage, obviously, that will be done after I get back from that. Favorite Red Hot Chili Peppers album? Probably Blood Sugar. That's going to be my favorite. Yeah, I mean, I think there are some late period Chili Peppers albums that are really good. That I think hold up, that stand up there. But to me, kind of the era of the Chili Peppers that was my era was even pre Mother's Milk, but mostly Mother's Milk and Blood Sugar. That's my favorite. No Friday How to Play with Salome. Is that not a weekly feature? I think it's going to be a regular feature, but I don't know the frequency yet. I don't know if it's going to be weekly, bi-weekly, monthly. I don't know, but I do believe that it's going to be on Fridays because I think that's part of the kind of the hook of that there. It's a How to Play Fridays with Salome. And yeah, a lot of people are responding very well to that. And so I'm excited to see more work from Salome and happy that we're able to have on the channel some, a new element that we've kind of toyed with here and there before. But this looks to be very promising. Tommy, howdy. It's Tommy from Texas. Hello, Tommy from Texas. A convention favorite. Are you able to share any news about Shock Knights with Poison? I'm looking to get a copy. Um, it is going to be brought over. It is going to be localized. So don't go crazy trying to get a very scarce and overpriced copy of Shock Knights with Poison right now. For everybody except for probably me and Tommy. Shock Knights with Poison is a Japanese trick-taking game that is essentially Ink and Gold, the trick-taking game. That is the way that it is. That's the most accurate description of it. It very much feels like Ink and Gold, the trick-taking game. Really fun trick-taking game. And I don't remember the specifics, but I do believe that it is going to be much more readily available soon to English-speaking markets. Do you know if we'll be hearing anyone's thoughts on Innovation Ultimate? I don't know. I believe it came through the studio, but I'm not 100% sure. Carl Chuddick game. I've played Innovation. I've not played Innovation Ultimate. So I certainly cannot speak to that edition of it. I haven't played any of the expansions for Innovation as well. So just base game for me. Don't know if it's coming out. Unfortunately, I have not heard. What is your order for South Tigris series from best to least best? I'm not prepared to do that right now. I know. Terrible. I'd want to put some thought into it. Okay, I really would want to put a little bit of thought into it. There are none I dislike. I think they're all really terrific heavy Euro games. And there are things I like about all of them. So, yeah, I mean, my gut's telling me that Scholars is my favorite because I really do love the translation, the idea of translating the texts. But Wayfarers is great because I love the tableau building and the actual physical panorama you're building. They all have great dice mechanics, right? That's the thing they all have in common. but I love I love the way that inventors, you're putting together these unique inventions. So literally, they're all good. But my gut tells me Scholars is the top, but that could change if I spent a little bit more time with it. All right. Can you speak to your thoughts about the Merchant Cove situation, or more generally, the closure of Final Frontier? Well, a little bit. I mean, I'll talk a little bit about it. I think it's sad. I think it's very sad. I think that a number of current events in board gaming right now are tremendously sad. I mean, I hate to see people lose their livelihoods. Um, on a personal level, yeah, I had 3 games that I had backed with Final Frontier, and now unlikely to get any of them. And that is the least of my concerns. And I'm not saying that as some kind of oh, look at me. That's the legitimate truth, right? That's the least of my concerns, is that I'm unlikely to get any of those 3 games that I backed and paid for. Okay. That may not be the case for everybody. And I don't begrudge people for being upset about putting money into something that they don't get a return on. Although you have to know going into crowdfunding that there are no guarantees. Um, but I think it sucks. I think it's sad. Now, I do want to, I would recommend, if you're interested in a perspective on the Merchants Cove situation, or excuse me, the Final Frontier situation, you're not getting all sides of the story, of course, but a really, really compelling episode of 5 Games for Doomsday, a podcast by Ben Maddox, came out last week, where he interviewed Johnny Pack Canton, who is a game designer, developer, worked with Final Frontier pretty extensively, works with Fantasia right now. He spoke very candidly, obviously from his perspective, but spoke very candidly about his experience with the Final Frontier, um, uh, working with them, basically, and his perspective on how this all went down. Um, do I think that uh, that the tariff situation played a part into the closure of Final Frontier? Sure. Do I think it was the only thing? No, I don't. Honestly, I don't. But I'm not going to talk too much more about it because I don't want to speak out of ignorance. But I will say that if you want to get one person's very particular perspective, very well spoken perspective, and very candid, I will say, it's hard to find somebody that speaks as candidly as Johnny does, and it's up to you to decide whether it's something you care to, what you care to think about it. But I do recommend listening to it because it's a very compelling listen. Have you played Soul: Last Days of a Star? I have not. When will you review Elder Scrolls? Hopefully soon. I think that's something that I know Camilla and I were talking about trying to get that done. That really, that review was something that we were hoping to get done at the Spectacular. It just didn't happen time-wise. So it will come, whether it's myself and Camilla, just me, just her, other people, I don't know. But that's hopefully coming soon. Have you had a chance to play Scarabrai yet? I played it once at the on the Dice Tower cruise, an early, well, pretty much done, but a pre-production copy of it. I don't have a copy of it. I don't have a copy of the Anarchy. That's killing me that I don't, but I don't. So I have not had a chance to really put them through their paces, and will not be able to until I can get near a copy of one or both. Is there an element to a game's production that immediately elevates the experience regardless of gameplay? For example, dual layer boards, neoprene mats, miniatures, etc. Of those that you mentioned, dual layer boards would certainly be at the top of those items on that list because they serve a very particular function, right? They improve the user interface of the gamer. Um, the others they can improve the experience, right? But on a practical level, dual layer boards are always going to be, well, when it fits. Certain games don't need dual layer boards, but in ones where they do, where bumping pieces matters, things along those lines, um, I do like that. I'm a sucker for metal coins. I don't know why, because just regular coins are metal, but custom metal coins I like. Miniatures, depending on the game. Uh, but depending on the game, sometimes screen printed meeples I think are great. Um, so yeah, I'm well on record for many years on this channel of being a shallow gamer, and so I like that kind of stuff. And if I miss questions, folks, apologies. I'm just kind of trying to get through as many as I can. Hi, Mike. My group's favorite game of all time is Blood Rage. We play a bunch of similar or a bunch of different games, but this one consistently comes to the table. Do you have any recommendations for games similar? Well, sure. First of all, you could look at kind of other games by that same designer that were almost considered to be, if not companion games, at least in the same world, not world, same in the same realm, kind of spiritual successors to Blood Rage. And that would be Rising Sun, which is also by Eric Lang, and Ankh. All three games by Eric Lang. All of them have some elements of troops on a map, some asymmetry going on in all three of them. Whereas Blood Rage has the card drafting, which is unique to it. So if the main reason you like Blood Rage is the card drafting, I would probably have different recommendations. But if you like just kind of that epic feel of minis and kind of battling it out with some tactical card play and things along those lines, then I would certainly recommend Rising Sun and Ankh. I would also recommend Kemet, which is a troops on a map game. I would recommend Cyclades, which I just mentioned about earlier, that I'm going to be reviewing on Sunday as well. So there's just some quick recos. You may get some more in the chat here. Any new trick-taking recommendations? Well, I reviewed Fives. Yes, I want to make sure I was giving it the right title. Fives recently, which is a fantastic game by Taiki Shinzawa, a reimplementation of the green Fivura. I'm trying to recommend things that are somewhat available because I have a ton of trick-taking recommendations of games that are difficult to get a hold of, and that does tend to annoy people sometimes, so I don't want to do that too often. Let me think of games that are readily available or somewhat easily available. Bezier has come out with some recently, or shedding games even, which are similar, related. Sears Catalog is really, really good. Trying to think, I'm looking around me to see if there are some. Again, I could recommend a bunch of obscure kind of ones that are great, but I'm trying not to do that. Trick Takers is a really good one that I believe you can get through the Portland Game Collective through their website if they haven't sold out of that. That's a fantastic game, Trick Takers. Yeah, I'm gonna have to stick with that for now. Sorry. Oh, a lot of people like Panda Spin. I don't know how available that is right now. That's by Carl Chuddik, who, speaking of innovation, I haven't landed on my thoughts on Panda Spin yet. Still working out what I think of that. Did the Dice Tower back 6 Sojourns? I'm not sure. Sorry, don't know. Mike, were you able to snag one of the 2,000 advance copies of the new Final Girl Season 4 feature, Bad Times at Buddyland? I was not. I didn't even know they had sold out already, Mike. I had heard about this, but didn't go beyond just hearing about it. And so, yeah, if it sold out already, good on them. But no, I wasn't able to. I wasn't one of the lucky 2,000. Robert Hovakimian asks, who invented water? Follow-up question, and why did they do it? I believe the correct answer to this is Reiner Knizia. Dr. Reiner Knizia invented water. And why did they do it? Because they could. Because they could. I'm going to be in Tokyo in June and wanted to know if there are any games that aren't available in the US that I should keep an eye out for. Also, will retailers have new games from the game market? For the second question, maybe. It depends. I do know that there are a couple of retailers that tend to try to bring games back from the game market. I don't know if any of this is going to change. These are coming from Japan, not China. I don't know how tariffs are going to play. If there still are some tariffs that are being enacted on Japan as well. I don't know if that's going to affect anything at all. I know that Tanuki Games from Austin, Texas, they have frequently brought games back from Game Market. New Mill sometimes I think brings games back from Tokyo Game Market. Tricky Imports I think sometimes brings game back through Game Market. But generally speaking, don't expect to see Game Market games on the traditional, Game Nerds, Miniature Market, things like that, unless they get picked up for wider distribution. Some games you should keep an eye out for. Nikosu Dice is always one that I bring up. I'm going to bring up one called Tornai. I'm running away. This is a trick-taking game that is by the designer of Ostia and Aqua Garden. Really good. Why didn't I recommend it earlier? Because it's not easy to get. But in Japan, maybe you might have an easier chance at that. So I really like that as well. Schadenfreude is another good trick-taking game that I tend to recommend to people that are in Japan. We'll go with that for now. Also, you can check out Cardboard East channel. Jay over there, does a really good job of recommending games that are in Japan. Luce, I'm afraid that nobody from the Dice Tower is planning to go to UK Games Expo this year. We go to so many conventions, and unfortunately we can't get to all of them. Did I watch any of the Coachella live streams? The Coachella live streams this weekend. Green Day Still Rocks. I did not, Nick. I've seen little clips. I've watched a couple of clips here and there. What I saw looked pretty good. I saw a clip of Green Day, saw a clip of the Misfits, saw some of Go-Go's. Yeah. So I've seen little clips, but I haven't watched any like full shows or anything there. Nick Markley asks, what's in those white containers above the Faceless game behind you? Those are the old sleeved inserts for sleeved cards for Unsettled. Yes. And so I think I just need to recycle them. I'm pretty sure. I'm going to double check, but I think I just need to recycle those. Board Game Animal, I'm glad you brought this up. As the only Dice Tower folk who had to do top 10 space and top 10 sci-fi, did you make those simultaneously? Was one easier to do than the other? Yeah, I was the only one that had to deal with that. It was a pain. That was a pain. I did make them simultaneously, or ish, right? And it definitely made my job harder on both lists because I had to kind of impose these kind of restrictions upon myself. And there was just no winning in some sense with those lists because there's so much bleed through and carryover. And yeah, no matter what, you're going to have people that, and I don't even mean in staff, I mean like, comments and such where people are going to be like, this is clearly fantasy. This isn't sci-fi. This is adventure. How dare you put this on an adventure list? This is clearly fantasy. And you know what? Let's roll with it. Let's have some fun with these lists. That's what they're about. I'm loving Come Sail Away. Yes. And I'm so thrilled that it's getting wider release. Anything similar I should check out? Well, I think anything that kind of uses that kind of Mancala mechanism to drive things would be something you might be interested in, because that's really what drives Come Sail Away, this idea of, moving in areas. Oh, Istanbul. That's I think a good recommendation. If you like Come Sail Away, I would definitely check out Istanbul. It has a similar kind of a thing where you're moving and you have some restrictions on how you move, things along those lines. Ostia is a much bigger Euro game, but it also utilizes a similar mechanism to drive the action there. Mike Heller is double backing me up here on that 5 Games for Doomsday recommendation for Johnny Pack. And David was able to answer that question before I did. This is hilarious. Okay, this is why, Dun, dun, dun. I'm considering picking up a copy of Lorenzo Il Magnifico. I'm waiting with bated breath to see if the Knizia occultist would recommend it. Interesting. I'm wondering why the connection there. Does Lorenzo kind of look like a Knizia game? Let me think about this. I don't know. I don't think that there's a lot of Venn diagram between Lorenzo and a typical Knizia design. Other people may put more thought and effort into this question and find some of those. I was not the hugest fan of Lorenzo Il Magnifico. I found it a bit too constraining and punishing for my tastes. It felt too tight to me. Tightness, is that an element of Knizia games? I don't think it typically is. I don't think there's like this overabundance, but it feels Knizia games feel pretty balanced, right? And I'm not saying Lorenzo's unbalanced, it just felt too tight to me. Regardless of what happens with tariffs, what are some changes you think we'll see or you'd like to see the industry make going forward now that we've seen how quickly things can change? Well, I mean, I do think that getting to maybe scaling back a little bit on some of the productions that we've seen are going to happen. And I don't think that that's necessarily bad. I mean, I think there's nothing wrong with having some of these big lifestyle games, but the ratio for me was feeling off, where it felt like every other game we're looking at is this huge behemoth of a box with all this kind of stuff. And I do think that that's going to be scaled back a bit. Other changes, gosh, it's so hard to predict. It's so hard to predict in this industry for sure. Because, as you said, things can change so quickly. Will there be a vlog of the yard sale? I don't think so. I haven't heard anything. I mean, maybe, but I haven't heard anything about it if there is. The game behind me most recently played. Well, can it count if it's just off screen there? If so, it would be Cinque Terre. I just played that on Saturday. Old school game that Jason Dunham, who oftentimes is in the chat, he requested to play that one. So we broke that one out and played. Am I visiting other sites in Japan before or after the Game Expo? A little bit. I don't have a whole lot of extra time, but I'm going to spend a little bit of time in Akihabara at least. And yeah, so a little bit, but mostly going to be spending time at the expo. Yes, Mori and Lunar are great recommendations from Allplay for recent available trick-taking games. And as Sean points out, Panda Spin is really not trick taking; it's a shedding game. Very true. I a lot of times those games do get tend to get kind of combined. They're in the same kind of family, but you're right. Shedding is different than trick taking. I even made that point for some different game earlier. When is the Dice Tower playthrough of Battle of Hoth? I'm assuming once they get it. No idea. Clarifying Japanese retailers like Yellow Submarine. Um, I'm not an expert in this, never having been to Japan, but I do think that some of the game market releases will get distributed in some of the Japanese games. Yellow Submarine being a great example of that. So yeah, I do think some of the bigger profile, maybe not the smaller, tiny print run games, but some of the bigger, higher profile releases from some of the bigger Japanese publishers do get into those retailers. Gaming with Jason this weekend was lovely. Had a great time. Will I be coming to Capstone retail store this year? Still TBA, TBD, to be determined. Don't know yet. What is the last concert I went to? Have I been to one since Social Distortion, Bad Religion? I don't remember. So here's two heartbreaking things. There were two concerts that I bought tickets to and was planning to go to, but had to change plans for other reasons. So I had tickets to see the in Chicago and could not go to that at the last minute. And then I had tickets to see Frank Black on his Teenager of the Year tour, and I could not go to see that. So I bought tickets to two shows and didn't get to go to, but I still think the last one was Social Distortion and Bad Religion, and I actually have tickets for the day after Gen Con to see Dropkick Murphys and Bad Religion. So we'll see if I see one before that. Think you're going to see the cost of used games going up? I think that's certainly possible. And a lot of publishers right now are saying, hey, I just got an email today from Pandasaurus where they were basically talking about, the impact of tariffs on them. And they were saying, if there's a game of ours that you want right now, get it now because the prices are going to be going up. So. Imran, now that publishers are doing major sales to combat the tariff, I'm overwhelmed by the choices. Any pointers? Euro, solo, dice chuckers. Well, are you asking? I'm not sure if you're asking for pointers of which of these. Should I get euros or solo or dice chuckers? Or if you're looking for pointers within each of those. Wow, this is a very open-ended question. I don't know that I have a great answer to it. I mean, you'll know which games I like based on the things that I reviewed and things I've put on top 10 lists and things along those lines. I would say maybe, are there any games that have gotten your attention and you've been on the fence about, you've been like, I'm almost there. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. Maybe this would be the thing to kind of tip the teeter-totter, the seesaw in that one direction. Um, yeah, because otherwise it's kind of open-ended. I don't have, other than my top 10 lists that I've been doing and reviews lately, those would be the best recommendations I can give. My favorite of the 7 games on the shelf that Reiner is keeping watch of behind me. So let me scoot. All right, let's make sure if we're actually correct here. I think you're short. Okay, although Palmyra was blocked, we've got Ra, Cascadero, Zuvadis, My Island, Orongo, Tajuto. We've got Voodoo Prince there. We've got Galaxy Cat Extension. we've got Mlem, we've got Whale Riders, we've got City of the Living. Just sneaking in here is modern art. Here we've got Thor, we've got Art Gallery, we've got Cascadito, Wiener Walzer, we've got the Japanese edition of Winter Circle, we've got Tatari. I bet you were just talking about somewhere in here. If we're talking about these, and my head was probably blocking Ra. Ra is the number one, okay? Of these, oh, you can't tell because I'm running my, I'm running my cursor along those. That doesn't help you. Suvadis, probably. Then Arango. Cascadero. Mlem. Maybe, yeah. But my favorite of these is Ra. My favorite of these that you can see right now would have to be Suvadis. Somebody asking me to bring back stuff from Japan, which I will not be able to do. Is Dan calm and collected in the podcast episode that dropped today? I saw it was quite a long one, haven't listened yet. Was he calm and collected? He's about as calm and collected as he ever gets. He does get fired up about tariffs for sure. Yeah, and it was a longer one than normal. We did have a guest. We had Jeff Knapp come and join us. So it was a little bit longer than our normal ones have been recently. Top 3 places, things you would take someone visiting Indy for the first time. I would take them, well, it depends on what they like. There's some cool kind of adult arcades / bars that I might take them to. There's a really cool duck pin bowling place in Fountain Square. There's some restaurants I would certainly recommend. Maybe down to the canal if weather was good. So yeah, there's some suggestions. The Children's Museum, if you've got kids, is probably the best children's museum I've ever seen. Okay. Saw me at the Taylor Swift concert. Man, I wish. I mean, hey, I'd go. It was supposed to be fantastic. I don't got that kind of cash. Never been to a Taylor Swift concert. And I'm not really familiar with Taylor Swift's music. I mean, other than what probably is out there in the zeitgeist that everyone has heard. But I've been on record as saying that I have mad respect for any artist that writes their own music, performs their own music, and that many people can't be wrong. Even if Taylor Swift may or may not be music that I particularly like, I haven't heard enough of it to say. If that many people like it, there's probably something there. All right. Okay. First trick taker I ever played would have to be pinochle. I remember playing pinochle with my family, specifically at my grandmother's house when I was a kid. That would be the first. Is it too much to play with leaders in a first game of ARCs? I don't think so. I think if you just add the leaders in there, I don't think that's too much. I mean, yeah, I think the answer is no. Don't think it is. Just got my email for Pledge Manager for I Made You a Mixtape. $3 tariff charge seems low. Is that all as needed as you guys taking a huge hit? Well, I appreciate the spirit of this question. And yes, it's a little bit self-serving for me to put this question up there and respond to it because this is the game that I'm have designed with Dan. No, as of right now, we're perfectly comfortable with adding the surcharge of $3 for U.S. backers. And if anything drastically changes, then, we'll address it when and if we need to. But right now, I don't want people to think that, that we're falling on swords and being martyrs. This should get us to where we were pre-tariff. That to the best of what we can figure, this will get us to where we were beforehand. As most people know, there's not a huge margin on board games, and this was, especially in a game that is primarily cards, there's even smaller margins. But we're not in a position right now where we'll be losing any money. So thank you for the question. And if you did back it, please fill out your pledge manager ASAP. Okay. Is there a way to meet up to play a game with you in Indy, like an open game night? Well, I don't personally here run open game nights. Um, but I do sometimes go to board gaming indie events. And so if you're coming to Indy and or you live in and around Indy, you can check out the Facebook group for Board Gaming Indy because first of all, it's a great group that meets weekly in Beech Grove, I believe, and then they also meet monthly in various areas around Indianapolis. And if you are particularly curious, if I'm going to a Board Game Indie event and you wanted to try to go, you could, always like message on there and be like, hey, Mike, are you going to be at this event? That would be a possibility. How many Everdell expansions have I played? I think just the first. Can we get another live play with Mike? I don't know, Nick. I had a really good time with that. First of all, it would have to be a game that really works for it. I mean, Figment worked very well because it was something that we could really kind of do in real time together. So I'd have to think about that. I don't know about this week, but maybe we can do it again soon. I really did enjoy that. Okay. I'm not going to answer too many more of these actually because I don't want to make this about my game. How long is the Pledge Manager open? It will be open until all of the games fulfill. But the sooner you get it finished, the sooner you can be sure to get your copy of the game when it is fulfilling. And that actual the invitation email may not have gone out from All Play yet. So if you haven't got it, it's okay. It may be coming later today. All right, and I think that's all I'm going to say about that. Can I shed more light on the deal between the Dice Tower and Board Game Arena? What should we expect from the newly formed relationship? Nick, I unfortunately am probably not the best resource on that. I was given a little bit, we as a staff were given a little bit of a kind of a debrief on, hey, we're going to be working with Board Game Arena and here are some things that we may be doing. But I don't know much of the specifics as of right now. And I would hesitate to publicly say what they are and be incorrect, because that's the biggest concern there is I say something and it turns out to be wrong. Like maybe I say, like last week, there's going to be a crowd surfing, and it turns out there's not, and then I'm putting something up instead. But I think that this is it's a relationship that makes sense, right? I mean, I just don't know exactly what it's going to be as of yet. Wow, I think I've gotten pretty close to the bottom here. What type of players do you enjoy around you? Open people who play anything, or someone with refined tastes who occasionally pulls out a gem that you would have never known about otherwise? I don't know if I prefer one over the other. I think both of those types of gamers have their charms, quite honestly. On a selfish level, as somebody that has this particular job, playing with people that are open to playing just about anything is a tremendous benefit, okay? And so I can use Bruce as an example, Bruce Schwerin. Bruce is very, very open-minded and very generous in his time about any game, just about. There's almost no game that I can say, hey, Bruce, this is something that I would like to get reviewed. Would you play this game? The answer is invariably going to be sure. And so that is a tremendous, tremendous trait as a gamer, right? And it goes the other way around too. I mean, you know, do I have that same thing? I got to say I don't. There are certain games where I'm probably going to be like, no, I'm sorry, that's just not for me. So I think that can be a benefit. If somebody is open-minded, we'll play just about anything. Also, having playing with somebody who really kind of knows these maybe hidden gems and has played some games that are off the beaten path that you have not necessarily played before, that introduce you to them, that could be great too. So I've definitely played with people like that. Even someone like me who has been doing this professionally for a number of years and who has played a lot of games, I still get surprised every so often by a game that either I had heard of but really not known much about it, and come to find out, hey, this is a terrific game because someone has taught it to me, or just a game I've never even heard of before. So they both have their benefits. Close to the bottom, not on my watch. If you had the power to reprint any game, which one or ones would it be? I'm going to be missing something obvious here. What is something I would love to see reprinted? What is, what would it be? It's not going to be an exciting answer. And it's because I'm missing something obvious. I mean, you think about something like Queen's Gambit, you know, that's never going to happen. Oh, man. I feel terrible, Emran. I don't think I've answered either of your questions particularly well. Reprint a game. What's big and out of print right now? Now everyone talks about the black box of edition of Glory to Rome. I think Glory to Rome is great. But I don't particularly need to have the Glory to Rome black box edition. I actually don't own Glory to Rome in any form. If something comes to me, Imran, I'll shout it out. But in the 7 or so minutes we've got left. Camp Grizzly, someone's mentioned, that is happening. Have I played Galactic Cruise? No, I have not played Galactic Cruise yet. Favorite heavy game? Probably going to be one of the Garfield games. Yeah, I think some of the heavy Garfield games, what would be in there? I do like The Gallerist from Lacerda. Heavy. What are some heavy games I like? See, when I'm going to say heavy, most people say, oh, those are medium weight games. I like some of the Mind Clash games. So, like, yeah, Anachrony I like quite a bit. Some of the Awakened Realms games I like. Well, this isn't, yeah, a reprint of the OG Discworld Ankh-Morpork. Yeah, especially if it was like the kind of collector's edition. I'd love to see that. I do have Nanty Narking. But yeah, that'd be a fun one. That'd be a fun one. Of course, that has IP constraints. It will likely not be redone. How much of a solo gamer are you at this point in time? Much less than he used to be. That's for sure. I would say probably, I'm probably a 35%, 30 to 35% solo gamer right now. Whereas it used to be probably closer to 65, 70. Elder Scrolls is a heavy game. That's true. seen any notable movies or shows recently? You always had the best taste of the Dice Tower crew. Look, I've been saying that for years, uh, but not everybody agrees with me. Um, I just recommended a movie that my oldest son recommended to me that I watched recently. That was not a feel-good movie, but incredible, devastatingly sad at the end, called The Florida Project. That was a movie with a cast of almost all unknown actors except for Willem Dafoe. Willem Dafoe being the kind of the one name actor, and then filled with mostly people that were not in many, if any, movies before. And that had some of the best acting by a child I've ever seen, so I could recommend that. Um, let's see, what else? I like Paul Thomas Anderson as a director, so, well, have I seen any of those recently? Probably not recently, although I am very much looking forward to the upcoming Paul Thomas Anderson movie with Leonardo DiCaprio. I can't remember what it's called. Um, Recently, I have not seen Sinners yet, although I am hearing really good things, and I do want to see that. Uh, so that's one I'm interested in seeing. TV shows outside of the trash TV that my wife and I like to consume. Um, Succession, of course, that's not new, but I've been watching it recently. Um, yeah, that's about all I got right now. Yes, as you mentioned, Florida Project is directed by the same guy as Honora, which won a bunch of Oscars, which I haven't seen yet. I have not seen Honora. I did watch the Florida Project. I'm sure I'll watch Honora now. Um, what is your Knizia hot take? Not all of his games are good. There's my hot take. What gets you most excited for an upcoming game? Designer, mechanisms, theme, all of the above, David. I mean, really, you've named three things. Well, of those three, two more than others. Designer definitely will get me excited if it's a designer that I like. Theme will get me excited if it's a theme I like or if it's something unique. Mechanisms is going to be the least. If it's if it's a particular mechanism that I think is underutilized that I like, that might get my attention. I split, you choose, for example. You don't see that enough. I had another one right in my head that I can't, for the life of me, I'm forgetting. Um, there's another mechanism. Pick up and deliver. I tend to, like those. And so if I see those, they'll get my attention. But otherwise, mechanisms are not going to be enough to do it for me necessarily. How many playthroughs of a game before you consider expansions? Are you an all-in at the start kind of person or wait and see? I am absolutely not an all-in at the start kind of person. Um, Whether that's a game where it's one of those Kickstarters where they release the expansions at the same time as the base game, or if it's a situation where I come to a game later in its cycle after it already has expansions out, I almost never will want to incorporate all of that in the first play. Unless it's a family weight game and I have heard this is the way to play it. Otherwise, no. I want to play the base game, play it a few times, feel like I've got somewhat of a handle on what it's trying to do. And then I still may not add expansions unless it's a kind of expansion that I feel like is going to improve the experience for me. Do you ever make it to Fort Wayne? Moved here recently. Unfortunately, I'm really not in Fort Wayne very often. I am not. We're getting close. Is there anything I kind of missed here that I want to address? How do you keep the excitement going when playing solo? My excitement dies quickly and often quit halfway through the game. Look, I mean, that's cool. That's fine. That doesn't happen to me very often. And it may just be that for some people, solo gaming just isn't as interesting to them. It's not as exciting to them. And so they lose interest, and that's all right. That's just not I can't answer this question because I don't tend to have this happen. If I lose the excitement when playing solo, it probably means it's because the game is poor and I'm losing the excitement in the game, and I would lose the excitement just as much in a multiplayer session of that same game. Nothing inherently about solo to me is less exciting unless it's a game that's specifically made, like, that's why you don't see solo party games, right? Because it doesn't make sense. But generally speaking, a solo experience is going to be a different type of experience than a multiplayer experience. And so I get different things out of both. Hopefully that answers that. All right. Yeah, I think it's time. It is time, folks. So thanks for hanging out with me at this live Q&A, and stick around. As I mentioned early on, if you didn't get a chance to see early on, I kind of mentioned what things you can look forward to this week on the Dice Tower. And so we look forward to continuing to get this new studio ready for you, these new studios ready for you. And I'm sure everyone is chomping at the bit to put out more content for you. And we will do the very best we can in this interim period that we are in. Until I see you again, folks, take care. And this is Mike DiLisio signing off from the Dice Tower Midwest Annex. Goodbye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another video from the Dice Tower. Hey, you want to learn more about us, communicate with us? We have a Facebook group, we have a Discord channel, lots of different ways to get involved with the Dice Tower. You can find that in our Linktree link below. So just click that, it will take you and you can communicate with us on Facebook, join our Facebook groups. There's lots of cool things that you can find and become part of the Dice Tower. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Tom Vasel.